welcome everyone to your own channel Drishti IAS English. My name is Pragya, and in today's insightful episode of Environment Primer, we are going to discuss a very unique topic that, if implemented, will target the root causes of climate change. The title of our today's discussion is Ecocide as a Crime. In this discussion, we'll firstly study about what is ecocide. Then we are also going to see why do Mexico and other countries want to criminalize environmental destruction. Then we are also going to see the India's stance in this regard, and lastly we'll see a practice question for your prelims examination and a practice question for your mains examination. So if I talk about the background of our today's topic, the Maya project or the Maya train line, Maya project in Mexico, that is talking about constructing a rail link for the historically important Maya sites, has again brought the environmental destruction topic into limelight, and it has again brought that how humans are destructing our environment and why there is a need to criminalize this process. So this brings us to the important point of our today's discussion, that what is ecocide? And why it should be declared as a crime. So if I talk about this word ecocide, it refers to unlawful or wanton acts committed with the knowledge that there is a substantial likelihood of widespread or long-term damage to the environment being caused by those acts. So basically it is a mixture of a Greek and a Latin term, which means killing your environment, killing the environment, or destructing the environment, or destructing your own home. And this is the simple meaning of this term ecocide. It basically refers to the widespread and severe damage that is being caused by indeliberate human activities such as pollution, such as indiscriminate use of fossil fuels, such as deforestation, etc. So basically all of these environmental destruction combined together is known as ecocide. Okay. And historically, Arthur Galston in 1970 was the first to link environmental destruction with genocide when referring to the use of Agent Orange, a herbicide by US during the Vietnam War. Moving forward, although there is currently no universally recognized legal description of ecocide, a group of lawyers convened by an NGO named Stop Ecocide Foundation in June 2021 crafted a definition that would place environmental devastation within the same realm as crime against humanity. Basically, they want a legal accountability. They want this to environmental destruction to be included in a criminal laws so that it can target the very root cause of climate change. And there is no universally acceptable definition. However, this NGO has attempted to define this term ecocide. Okay. So according to their proposal, ecocide is defined as unlawful or reckless actions carried out with the awareness that there exists a substantial probability of causing severe and either extensive or enduring harm to the environment. And to summarize, ecocide simply means that you are doing the act that is causing the environmental destruction, and you already know about the impact of those acts, and that is why you should be punished, because you are doing it with an intention of causing the destruction to the environment. Moving forward, in 2010, a British lawyer played a pivotal role by urging the United Nations International Criminal Court to officially acknowledge ecocide as an international crime. So, what are the four kinds of crime acknowledged by the International Criminal Courts? Firstly, it is genocide. Then it is crime against humanities. Then there are war crimes. Then there are crimes against aggression. crimes against aggression. So basically, these lawyers are arguing that include environmental destruction as a part of criminal law, so that it could challenge, or it could, put an end to the very root cause of climate change. Okay, so they are arguing that it should be made as a fifth separate crime apart from genocide, crime against humanity, war crimes, and crime against aggression, and this is being requested to the International Criminal Court. Okay, so the provision related to war crimes is the sole statute that can hold a wrongdoer accountable for environmental destruction, but only if it is intentionally caused during the times of armed conflicts. In normal times, you cannot hold liable a person for causing environmental destruction criminally, and this is being argued by the lawyers of the Britain. Okay, moving forward. Let us analyze why should ecocide be a crime. Okay, so ecocide is already a crime in 11 countries with 27 other nations mulling laws around criminalizing environmental damage that is willfully caused and harms humans, animals, and the plant species. The European Parliament voted unanimously this year to enshrine ecocide in law, because we are taking every step possible to mitigate climate change, to check climate change, to have a solution to the climate change, because we are, in every lecture I say this and I'm saying this again, we are already facing the worst impact of climate change, and that is why we are trying to take every positive step to stop the climate change from happening. And that is why they are saying that now include environmental destruction that is willful in nature as a part of your own country's criminal law. Okay, moving forward. Most national definitions penalize mass destruction of flora and fauna, poisoning the atmosphere or water resources, or deliberate actions capable of causing an ecological disaster. Ecocide laws at one level act as a legal instrument to plug a lacuna in the environmental protection, because every country has its own environmental protection laws. Some are very severe in nature and some might be lenient in nature. So ecocide as a movement is very important because it highlights a very important aspect, that 1/3 of the earth natural biodiversity, of the earth's natural flora and fauna is going to be extinct by the year 2050. We are causing deforestation, we are causing pollution of the water bodies, we are causing pollution of the air, and they say that the ecocide movement activists say that yes, there has to be a stop. The countries must recognize that they cannot deliberately cause environmental destruction. And they also argued that what about those countries who have done nothing, okay, to add to the climate change, but are still facing the impacts of the climate change. So these are some of the arguments in favor of the ecocide movement. Now let us see some of the more arguments in favor of criminalizing environmental destruction or recognizing ecocide as a crime. So the first argument is protecting the environment as an end in itself. So we have this environment that is made of interesting species that have evolved throughout the years together, and what we are doing, we are snatching their natural habitat, we are snatching their water. If you talk about the marine ecosystem, we are also snatching their habitat. The fishes are dying, the marine ecosystem is being polluted, we are polluting the land, we are polluting the sea, and we cause these activities very deliberately. So basically, if we recognize deliberate environmental destruction as a crime, definitely it will be protecting the species of the environment, the natural flora and fauna of the earth. Okay, then there is intergenerational justice that we need to do. So see, whenever we talk about sustainable development, we say that yes, it is our right or it is our duty to give the planet to our future generation so that they can also take benefit of the natural resources which we have inherited. So basically, the future generations must repay the debt of this intergenerational justice. They should also have a planet that is sustainable in nature, that has the natural resources which we have inherited. So it is also a part of intergenerational justice. Okay. Then most importantly, climate change mitigation. So time and again I have pointed out that yes, the countries are taking every positive step that they can take, and that is why because they realize that the worst impacts of climate change are already here. So mitigation of climate change is very important, and that is why countries take these all kinds of positive steps to save themselves from the worst impact of climate change, which are going to occur in the future. Currently we are also facing, and they are going to occur in the future as well if we do not take such positive or affirmative actions in mitigation of climate change. Then expanding global recognition and legal action. So I was talking about those countries who have not added to the greenhouse gas emissions, who are suffering because of the developed countries. So where they will take the legal action. If you will make ecocide as a crime, then definitely they will be able to take the action. And most of the small countries are urging the big countries that yes, make deliberate environmental destruction as a crime, because we need accountability. If you are damaging our environment, we need accountability. And this is a demand by the marginalized countries also, who have done nothing to promote this destruction that is going on in the name of climate change, who are the least greenhouse gases emitter. Okay, so they want legal accountability. So these are some of the arguments that is presented in favor of making ecocide as a crime. Then let us analyze some of the argument against making ecocide as a crime. So one key argument against criminalizing ecocide revolves around the tension between development and environmental protection. See, basically development and environmental protection should go hand in hand. That is why we have SDG goals, right? But currently it is not happening. If you see the development around the world that is going on, definitely it is going on at the stake of the environment. So, if we make ecocide as a crime, the critics argue that it will stop the development procedure altogether, the development process altogether. Okay. Some argue that criminalizing ecocide may infringe upon a nation's sovereignty, because nations are, capable of deciding the environmental protection in their own country. And if such laws exist at the international level, definitely they will be legally binding. Definitely at some point of time you are interfering with the nation's sovereignty to decide their own punishments for environmental destruction. So this is also argument against that is put in against the criminalization of environmental degradation. Then critics question the effectiveness of criminalizing ecocide in deterring environmental harm. So let us analyze a concept known as international law. International law. Okay. So yes, we follow a principle of just cogence. We follow a principle of international law. Okay. So international law is a law that has been agreed to by the countries all over the globe. They have come together and agreed on a set principles, and the countries which do not obey the international law, they face sanctions. So international law is not that very deterrent in nature, because if it would have been deterrent in nature, it would have already stopped the environmental harm from happening. So they also question the deterrence of this international law. They also question the deterrence of this putting ecocide as a crime in the ICC or the International Criminal Court. Okay, because international law is voluntarily in nature. You cannot force a country to obey the international law. Okay. They argue that existing environmental regulations, when enforced rigorously, can be more effective than creating a new criminal framework that may be challenging to enforce, because most of the countries are not going to agree on the same. Okay. And they say that we have the Paris Agreement, we have other such environmental agreements, which are legally binding in nature. So why are you not enforcing them strictly, rather than, creating a whole new criminal law framework that is hard to enforce, because most of the countries definitely are not going to listen. They are still going to find loopholes in this scenario, and they are definitely going to violate this new criminal law framework. So these were some of the arguments that are put against making ecocide as a crime. Now let us see and analyze what is India's stance in this regard. So first and the foremost thing, India is not a signatory to the Rome Statute of ICC. India is not a signatory to Rome Statute of ICC or the International Criminal Court of the ICC or the International Criminal Court. Okay. Some Indian judgments have used the term ecocide in passing, but the concept hasn't been fully materialized in the Indian environmental laws. Okay. In Chandra CFS and Terminal Operators Private Limited, versus the Commissioner of Customs and others, the Madras High Court noted that the prohibitory activities of ecocide have been continuing by certain sections of people by removing the valuable and precious timbers. So the courts in India have recognized this principle of ecocide, but if you'll ask me, ma'am, is it embodied in the Indian environmental laws? No, they do not specifically mention about this term known as the ecocide. Moving forward, India's environmental regime includes the Environmental Protection Act of 1986, Wildlife Protection Act of 1972 and Compensatory Afforestation Fund Act of 2016, also known as CAMPA, as well as separate rules to prevent air and water pollution. But are they sufficient to deal with the environmental harm that is going on? No. In fact, the Indian government has also amended the Forest Rights Act, the Forest Conservation Act, the Biodiversity Act, and they are already planning to reduce 20 to 25%. 20 to 25% of the forest cover for development. Forest cover for development. In fact, the NGT, that is India's Environmental Tribunal that enforces these environmental laws, does not have jurisdiction on many state laws such as the Wildlife Protection Act, the Forest Act, etc. So NGT cannot interfere in those matters. So if you'll ask me that yes, Indian laws are not sufficient to deal with the environmental destruction that we are causing, and the Great Nicobar project is also in question as of now. So in T and Godavarman versus Union of India and others case, famously known as the ESZ case or the Economic Sensitive Zone case, the Supreme Court called attention to an anthropogenic bias and argued that environmental justice could be achieved only if we drift away from the principle of anthropocentric to ecocentric. So the Supreme Court has already highlighted that yes, we are causing the environmental destruction, indiscriminate environmental destruction. Okay, and we need to take seriously our environmental protection laws. Okay, so India's stance as of now is that India does not recognize ecocide as a crime. With this, we come to our conclusion of our today's discussion. We have seen what is ecocide. We have also seen that why international countries want to declare it as a crime, why they want this ecocide to be in the criminal laws. Okay, we have also seen the arguments against this and arguments in favor of this statement that yes, ecocide should be a crime. And we have also seen the India's stance in this regard. Now let us see a practice question for your prelims examination. So the question is, consider the following statements, and this is a PYQ that has been asked in the year 2019. So the Environmental Protection Act 1986 empowers the Government of India to, number 1, state the requirement of public participation in the process of environmental protection and the procedure and manner in which it is sought. Number 2, lay down the standards for emission or discharge of environmental pollutants from various sources. Which of these statements given above are correct? Your options are: option A is 1 only, option B is 2 only, option C is both 1 and 2, and option D is neither 1 nor 2. Kindly drop your answer in the comment box below. Now let us discuss a practice question for your mains examination. So the question is, the most significant achievement of modern law in India is the constitutionalization of environmental problems by the Supreme Court. Discuss this statement with the help of relevant case law, and this is also a PYQ. Okay. So firstly, you will write about the environmental protection regime in India, the Environmental Protection Act, etc. Then you will write about the constitutional provisions in this regard, that is Article 48 Clause A, Article 51 Clause G. Okay, Article 21. You'll mention all of the rights, right of clean air, right to breathe clean air, right to breathe stay in a safe environment. Okay, so you'll mention all of the important cases, for example, MC Mehta versus Union of India. You will mention the application of polluter pays principle. You will mention the principle of absolute liability. You will mention the principle of precautionary principle. You will mention the role of Supreme Court in, having this environmental regime. Will also mention the recent case law about the eco-sensitive zones. So you'll conclude that the Supreme Court, through its environmental justice progress, has actually, helped in the constitutionalization of the environmental protection laws in India, and it has played a very important role in securing environmental justice. So you can write all of this, okay, and you can conclude very holistically that yes, we need to have more stringent framework to avoid the environmental destruction that is going on, and you can conclude very holistically, okay. And I would also like to take this opportunity to inform you about our Republic Day discount. So we have an ongoing discount of 20 to 50% from 21st to 25th January on all online pen drive courses and test series. To avail the discount, you can click in the link given in the description box, okay. I hope this session was insightful for you. If you have any feedback regarding this session, kindly drop it in the comment box below. If you liked today's discussion and found it to be helpful, kindly like the video and subscribe to our channel for more such updates. Thank you.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.